What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today we are doing a deck analysis, a follow-up on our P.U.N.K Virtual World Swordsoul deck that we showcased last week on the channel. And of course, before we get started, we're going to go ahead and shout out our brand new subs of the channel, including Gleb, Rikuo, Dominic, Eamon, Alexis, Xavier, and Wu-Fang. Thank you all so much for joining the channel. Excited to have you here and excited to see you stick around. We will, of course, be doing another big giveaway when we hit our next sub goal at 400 subs. That giveaway will be announced on next week's video. And of course, as always, if you want to be included in the sub shout out, make sure that you just subscribe to the channel and that your subscriptions are public so that I can see you when you sub. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is, I don't want to waste too much time. We're going to hop into the analysis with a little bit of math behind the deck. We'll do a little combo guide and dueling book, more so how the interactions work between both the virtual world, the Swordsoul, and the P.U.N.K. And then we'll just go ahead and do some live test hands here on the mat. So with all that said, let's go ahead and hop into some of the math behind the deck. Okay, and let's just touch on the math real quick for a good 60 seconds before we hop into the interactions on Dueling Book. The first thing to note is the virtual world piece. For our virtual worlds, we run 21 virtual world names and 2 foolish burial goods. That is technically 23 names in our 40 card deck. Foolish burial goods obviously translating to dumping a trap to either level modify or monster reborn, as well as the continuous spell to banish and then search a virtual world name. Having that 23 names in our deck gives us a 99% chance to see at least one of those names going first in a 5 card hand in our 40 card deck, and at least a 90% chance to see at least 2 of those names going first in a 5 card hand in a 40 card deck, because you really need to see 2 different names to pop off. So that is what we've made sure to have here. We want to boost our chances as much as possible. Even though it is a random card game, we want to control what we can. So that's the main thing for the virtual piece. For the Swordsoul engine, we of course run the 6 Swordsoul cards featured from our video last week. The 3 Emergence, the 1 Long Young, the 1 Taya, and the 1 Blackout. Of those 6, you really are looking to see 5 of those, just all but Long Young, since Long Young doesn't necessarily do anything by itself. You need a discard. To get that, we at least have a 51% chance, so a little over half the time we're seeing that Swordsoul engine. Similarly for the P.U.N.K, we got about a 64% chance to see that engine there. And all together, when we think about the P.U.N.K and the Swordsoul engine together, you're looking at about an 85% chance to see at least one of those engines in your opening hand. So we're really close, and the way the deck's built is you're going to pretty much always see virtual world, and then you're always going to see one of the other 2 pieces, and all those intermingle in such a wonderful way that you'll be able to combo off pretty much no problem every time. It just looks very different in how you do it. Just wanted to give you the quick math on, when I shuffle my deck, when I look at it, what am I going to get? That's what you're thinking about here. And so with that said, let's go ahead and hop into the interactions for Dueling Book. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with just some of the basic interactions. I felt this was a little bit easier to showcase on Dueling Book before we hop into physical test hands here. So the first thing I want to just touch on is the Swordsoul interaction. So first thing you can do is how we use Swordsoul Emergence just by itself. We use it to get Taya, normal Taya, Taya effect banish, get the token. Synchro those away into a Chi-Jiao. That is option 1. Of course, when you make your chains, you want to make sure you block Chi-Jiao, so make Chi-Jiao 1 and Taya 2. You can dump a virtual world name, so that's the first use, is we can just use it to get a virtual world name in the graveyard, should you already have opened with something like Lao Lao and a virtual world name. And then we can use Chi-Jiao to search one of 2 things depending on our hand. We can search either the Swordsoul Blackout for additional disruption, which gives us obviously just a monster negate and a pop 2 by itself, or we can search out the Long Young to extend and keep playing if we have that Swordsoul name to discard, or the virtual world name that happens to be a worm to discard as well. The second option that we have to do is using the same exact combo with Taya to synchro for 8, but instead we go ahead and just make Baxia. So if you are going second, of course, you can use Baxia to bounce cards from your opponent's field back to the deck. And then obviously we still use Taya. In this case, Taya will dump a worm. And in this case, you want to make sure that you dump GG specifically. It is a level 4 or lower monster. That is what Baxia can reborn. So then you can use Baxia's effect. You can pop itself to bring back the GG from the grave. Of course, you could pop something else if you do have anything else, but again, that is another example of how the Swordsoul functions. It is a 1-card way to either put a virtual world name in the grave or on the field. So with that said, that is the main interactions there for Taya. And of course, the other thing just to note in general is that for the virtual world deck, we have Long Young being able to be used, as well as cards like Gigi and Lily, in this case for the Virtual World engine, both being worms so that they can then be used as discard fodder for the Long Young, or as used as Taya to be dumped to the grave. So with that said, we'll go ahead and put those back, and we'll just show an example of how the P.U.N.K lines work for the deck. This is pretty similar that most people might be familiar with utilizing the P.U.N.K combo, but it is just a little bit different in this deck, so I wanted to spend just a little bit of time touching on it. So again, you can accomplish this by having either Emergency Teleport, Z-Ammon, or Foxy Tune, any one of those three that we just showcased. For this case, we're just going to show what it looks like, give the deck a quick shuffle to use either Z-Ammon or Foxy Tune, the one that requires the extra card to discard, just to make it a little bit harder on ourselves. But what we'll do is we'll use Foxy Tune, discard itself for cost, and then discard the blank card at resolution. In this case, it was a Lulu, but it can be anything. Special the Z-Ammon from deck, use its effect as cost, pay 600 to add the Madam Spider. Then from here, you can normal the Madam Spider and go ahead and make P.U.N.K. If you choose to play the Dangerous Gabu, you can of course pay the 600 on Madam Spider to then add that to your hand before you continue playing. Just for space sake, I chose to not in here because I want to focus just mainly on the P.U.N.K combo without adding any extra slots to the deck. From here, we can go ahead and do P.U.N.K, get the 01 from the deck, and then of course make Auroradon. Auroradon's effect will activate to get us 3 tokens. And then we'll go ahead and trigger the 001 to special summon itself back, and we'll go ahead and do the standard play of making Cupid pitch. This is the part where the virtual deck in particular shines, and you can do a couple different things with Cupid pitch. You have the ability to modulate its level either up or down to get most benefit either way, because the search from Cupid pitch will happen regardless. So from here, we will use our Cupid pitch, decrease it by 1, in this case for the first example, to synchro for our virtual world name in the form of Juju. All that matters is just putting a virtual world name on the board. From there, what we can do is activate Cupid pitch, burn for 600, and then we can search a virtual world name that has exactly 600 defense. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and do Lulu because it does a little bit more. But you can do Lulu or Lily. Both of those are our 600 defense pieces. And just note that again, Lily is a worm, so if you need the worm name, that is another way that you can search it as well. So that's the first option. The second option, if we reset the board state just a little bit, is say you already have the virtual world name, like you already have the Kowloon in hand that you can use. We can still go ahead and use Cupid pitch effect, and we can go ahead and increase its level by 1 to do Borreload Savage Dragon, and then use Cupid pitch and Savage respectively to equip P.U.N.K. And in this case, we would have still researched that same Lulu off of Cupid pitch, but we have the virtual world name. So that means we're free to go ahead and just put a negate on board instead. We don't need to worry about putting a virtual world name on the board since we have a way to do that. So now we've just insulated ourselves from any further negates for the rest of our combo. And then the last thing just to note is you can always still decrease Cupid pitch's level by 1, use itself and the other 2 tokens to go into something straight like Shen Shen, and then still obviously add Lulu or Lily. So those are the main interactions of how both Swordsoul and the P.U.N.K engine supplement the deck. And with that said, let's go ahead and hop into some live test hands. Space is a little bit tight. I want to try to do what I can to make sure everything fits pretty well here on the mat. So we're going to give this guy a quick shuffle. We're going to see what the hand looks like, and we're just going to go from there. I'm trying to make sure we got a good view from your perspective as the viewer. And of course, just know that because of how all these engines interlay, there's no real set combo, and that's kind of one of the hardest things about Virtual World that really decided to attract me to it, was every hand is different. Everything you do is different, but of course there might be certain end goals that you realize are the same, but just how you get there, obviously, can just change each time. So we've shuffled this up a little bit. Let's see what we got. We opened the Long Young, the Swordsoul Emergence, the Foxy Tune, the P.U.N.K, and the Gigi. So definitely not a bad opening by any means. We can do a few different things here, actually. And so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to start with the P.U.N.K engine, since that, again, doesn't restrict us, and we have some room to play there. We will just go ahead and do the Foxy Tune, discard Foxy as cost, and then we'll go ahead and discard the P.U.N.K as the additional discard for resolving the effect. And then we will go ahead and get the P.U.N.K Z-Ammon from our deck to the field. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Where is that guy? He is right here. We can, and then we can activate Z-Ammon's effect, paying 600 to then add the Madam Spider from our deck to our hand. We will go ahead and grab the Madam Spider. And then from here, we will go ahead and normal the Madam Spider, and we will go ahead and start into our Hulk combo. Again, we do not play Gabu in this deck, but if you want to, you most certainly can as a part of the P.U.N.K engine. We will get Hulk of Fibrax and activate his effect to get 001 from the deck to the field. We'll go ahead and special that guy right there. From there, we can go ahead and link 3 into our Auroradon. We'll go ahead and put our Auroradon right here in the extra monster zone, trigger Auroradon's effect, getting us 3 tokens, and then triggering the 01 to special summon itself back to the field. From here, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and go straight into Cupid Pitch by getting rid of 01 and a token. We're going to go ahead and put that token, or sorry, that Cupid Pitch right here. And now the first question that you come to is, what do you want to do with the Cupid Pitch? And we're looking at our hand. We do already have a virtual world name in hand, but we don't necessarily yet have a virtual world name on board. So in this case, what I think I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and still put the virtual world name on the board. Just to kind of make a level 6, and you'll see as we kind of go what that will create. And again, I might want to end up keeping this worm in hand just because we have the discard fodder, but we'll go ahead and do that first. So we'll go ahead and synchro for 6, leaving our level 3 token here on the board, and we'll go ahead and special summon our Juju from the extra deck. Chain link 1 will be Cupid Pitch to burn and search, and that's it, because we didn't make Borrowed Savage Dragon. I'm so used to making Savage Dragon. But we will go ahead and search the Lulu here in this case. You don't have to necessarily search the Lulu, but you know what? Let's go ahead and not. Let's be a little bit more adventurous. Let's go ahead and search the Lily, because we can still get to the Lulu later. No, we chose Lulu. We'll stick with it. And again, that's kind of what makes this deck hard, is it really just unfolds continually as you go, right? So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate Lulu in hand, target the virtual world monster. We're going to go ahead and dump a trap, which in this case, we've already sent one Chuche. So we're going to go ahead and send another Chuche, or not a Chuche, sorry, a Zhanwu, and we're going to go ahead and add the spell. And in this case, I'm actually going to add the Kowloon. Then we're going to go ahead and activate the Kowloon. Well, we're going to resolve Lulu, obviously, and then we're going to activate the Kowloon. Go ahead and use Kowloon's effect. Place the Chuche right there. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do GG. I know we have the Worm and the Swordsoul card in hand, but Long Young is just not that big of a priority to me. I usually prioritize Taya if we're first, and we're already in a good enough position that we don't really need it, so he can just be a little bit of extra discard that we'll show later. So we'll go ahead and start with the GG. We'll use GG, targeting the trap, and then we'll just go ahead and dump one of the spell, so that way we have some follow-up searches. From there, we'll shuffle up, special and resolve the GG, and then we'll go ahead and we can do a couple different things here, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Lulu and the token to go ahead and make the Stardust Charge Warrior, because I just want that extra draw. Go ahead and put that guy right there. Then we'll go ahead and use Charge Warrior's effect to net us another draw. Wow, that is really good. That was something I wanted to search, so the fact that we don't have to makes this even better now. So from here we can do a couple different things. Because we already have the virtual world name on the board, I am okay with going ahead and overlaying. And the other thing that you can kind of note is we're saving a lot of the Swordsoul stuff here, because if we do get Nibiru'd at any point, we could have obviously insulated that by using the P.U.N.K stuff, by being less greedy to make Borrowed Savage. But again, that's why we have these 3 different engines, is we can save what piece we want, right? So we'll go ahead and make Beatrice. I think it's always important just to detach the virtual world name to be safe. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and dump Destrudo from our deck to our graveyard. From here, what we can go ahead and do is we have a few different options. And what I might want to do is I might want to go ahead and resolve the Spell Engrave. We're going to go ahead and banish that right here. Hopefully that is, yep, that's good in frame. Sorry about it being just a little bit small. And then we will go ahead and add the Lily. All right, sorry about that. My camera died. I didn't change anything with the board, just waited for the battery to charge back up. We just finished resolving the Qinglong to add the Lily. We will go ahead and use the Lily effect. In this case, we're going to target the GG because I believe we've already cycled through all our traps. We'll go ahead and dump another spell here, special it, and then obviously we're not going to do the optional dump of the 3rd type. From here, we can do a few different things. What I am going to do first is let's go ahead and just take a quick peek at the extra deck and see what we have going on over here. Okay, I think we got a good idea of where we would like this to go. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and banish the trap, the Chuche from grave, to increase our GG's level by 3. We will go ahead and overlay these two. And then we will go ahead and make, we have room to make, I think, let's see, yeah, 2 more here. So we'll go ahead and make the M7. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to make this a little bit weird, but we're going to go ahead and detach for the M7, detach the Lily, and re-add the Lily. From here, we're going to go ahead and discard the Lily and special summon the Long Young and special summon a token. From here, we can get rid of Long Young and the token to go ahead and make our Baron. Go ahead and pop that right here. And then from here, we can do, let's see, we can do just a little bit more things. We're actually going to clean up just a little bit of space. Normally, I wouldn't do this, but we're in such a good position. Why not? We're going to use Auroradon to tribute itself and then pop the M7 just to make a little bit more space here on our board. And then we will go ahead and special the Lao Lao by targeting the Chuche. We will then dump. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and dump a Kowloon just because we have the ability to. And then we'll go ahead and bring back the Lily. We're going to go for 1 more rank 6 here. So we'll go ahead and overlay these two into a new addition. I've been testing the deck. I did mention this in the profile, but did not showcase it at the time. Is a number 24, the Vampiric Dragon. So what this guy does, it's a quick effect Book of Moon for an extra deck monster on the field. And its secondary effect, if it's sent to the grave by an opponent's card effect, it special summons itself face down. And then if it's flipped face up, it sends a card on the field to the grave. So it's just a good piece of removal that's kind of awkward to get around. And it's a worm, so it synergizes cards like Swordsoul Blackout. And so then from here, with the last card in our hand, we'll go ahead and resolve the Swordsoul Emergence. And we'll go ahead and add the Taya for follow-up here, since we did use our normal summon with the Madam Spider. And then so that's pretty much one way to do the end board here. We have a few different things on our opponent's turn. We can, of course, Beatrice detach, and then we can go ahead and dump the Snow. So now on our opponent's turn, we have a few different things. We have an Omni Negate in the form of Baron. We have a quick effect Book of Moon in the form of our number 24. We have a Snow Disruption, and we have a Chuche Pop 2. So that's just one example of how everything meshes together, and you can do a few different things. Obviously, if you want to take the Shen route, you can do that. If you want to focus a little bit more on the normal summon with your Swordsoul stuff, you can go for the Taya instead. But this is just one example, and I think really just showcases, let's just show up everything out on the board and, you know, let it see where it goes. So that's just one example there. We'll go ahead and clean this up and hop into test hand number 2. All right, finishing shuffling up here to go into our next test hand. One thing to note on that prior one was I think we dumped a Strudo and my brain kind of just missed it since my camera died. That's just another way we can use that to make Baron if you so desire as well. But we'll go ahead and see what we're working with here. We have a Qinglong, we have a Kowloon, we have a Swordsoul Emergence, we have a Zhanwu, and we have a Lulu. This is pretty good. And we'll go ahead and showcase what the other aspect of the Swordsoul line looks like. So we'll start with that. We'll go ahead and do Emergence. And you can do this either order, however you feel like it, whether you want to do the Swordsoul line first or the Virtual World line first. You know what? And in this case, let's just do the Virtual line first. That'll just maybe save us a little bit here. We'll go ahead and activate the Kowloon, and we'll go ahead and just activate the Chuche from our deck to the field. Go ahead and throw that on there. And then we'll go ahead and activate the Lulu, targeting the Chuche, and then we will resolve by dumping the Qinglong, specialing the Lulu, and then we can resolve and special we'll add a GG to hand. So we'll add that. And then we'll go ahead and we can go ahead and activate the GG by targeting let's target the Chuche. And then in here, we'll go ahead and dump Yan Yan, special the GG. And then from here, we can go ahead and synchro these two for 6. And we'll go ahead and put our Stardust Charge Warrior on the field to go ahead and take that extra draw. Go ahead and add the draw the Destrudo. That is really good. I cannot complain about that. So that kind of changes how I'm thinking about what I want to do for my play. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and banish the Qinglong from the grave. And we'll go ahead and add a Lao Lao. And then we'll discard a Zhanwu. That'll give us just a few more options as we kind of go down the line here. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and... We don't have many other discard outlets, so let's stick with the Zhanwu because Destrudo can still be activated from hand. And then from here, we can go ahead and activate the Lao Lao targeting the Chuche here. And then we can go ahead, I'm just going to put another name here in this case. Let's go ahead and put the Lili. And then we're going to go ahead and special the Lao Lao. Lao Lao's effect will trigger. And we will go ahead and I kind of want to focus a little bit more on the rank 6 aspect still here, but you're going to see something a little bit different here. We're going to go for the GG, and then GG's effect is going to go, or Nyan Nyan's going to trigger and then special summon itself back as well. And then from here, what we're going to do is actually... Let's wait on the, this is kind of hard because it's a little bit different on how I wanted to do it. We definitely want the Lao Lao, but we will go ahead and just bring back just the GG for now. Let's do just the GG. We don't need to trigger the, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with triggering the Nyan Nyan here. I think we can still do that perfectly fine. But what we will do is we will Destrudo, target one of the level 3s. Well... because that still makes a problem. What we're trying to think about here is how we get to Baron, and I think it's fine. We can just go ahead and do the Destrudo here since we have the Stardust Charge Warrior. This now becomes a level 4, and then what we can do is we can synchro away the Destrudo, putting it on the bottom of the deck along with the Stardust Charge Warrior to go ahead and make a Baron. That's going to insulate us from plays from this point on. So we'll go ahead and drop that Baron to floor right there. And then we have a few different things we can do here. We could go straight into Shen Shen, but again, I like the rank 6 focus of this deck. But the unfortunate thing that you'll notice is we did not, unfortunately, end up dumping a level... one of the trap to adjust levels. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and synchro 6 here by getting rid of the GG and the Nyan Nyan because Nyan Nyan's effect brings itself back as a tuner. And we'll go ahead and make the Juju. Now, in this case, I don't feel it is necessary to trigger the Nyan Nyan, just because we have the 2 cards out here for Chuche, and we want to keep that alive, which is important. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlay these 2, and then you can make a couple different options, but I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into the Beatrice. We will go ahead and use the Beatrice effect, just detaching, let's detach Lao Lao. I think that's better since we've activated GG, right? We get an add back at end phase. And then we'll go ahead and we could dump the Destrudo again if we want. But we're just going to go ahead and dump Snow as the initial piece of follow-up. And then from here, what we can do is we're just going to go ahead and now follow it up with the basic Swordsoul emergence play. We're going to add Taya. We're going to go ahead and normal summon the Taya since we've not normal summoned yet. We can use Taya, banish the Swordsoul emergence, get ourselves a token, go ahead and synchro token with Taya to then make an 8 in the form of Qizhao. And then we're going to go ahead and do Qizhao 1, Taya 2, just to chain block Qizhao a little bit. We'll go ahead and dump the... we'll keep the Long Young in just in case we open an emergence, but we'll go ahead and dump another GG. The name doesn't really matter. It's just important to chain block the Taya. And then we'll go ahead and resolve the Qizhao. And we'll take a blackout from our deck to our hand. And then we can go ahead and have that blackout set on the field, just showing it face up here for the purposes of this combo. And that's pretty much how we can end. That's just a basic, simple way of, showing the 2 engines merged together quite well. So And then end phase, obviously, we have the GG ad. You can either take back the Lulu or the Lao Lao. In my case, since we have a follow-up Qinglong still in our hand that can be used as discard fodder, and we have not even used the Zhanwu yet either, we could still do that to make some plays as well. I'm just going to go ahead and add back the Lao Lao since we have some extension already and a way to dump that in grave. But again, that's one thing you're looking at here. We have a pop with Chuche, we have pop 2 with Blackout, we have a monster negate, we have an Omni negate, and we have a snow disruption. So a lot of pieces that we can use at play here. Really powerful end board, but again, just something neat that showcases the blend between Swordsoul and and Virtual World without using the P.U.N.K engine, right? All right, and that is it for the analysis, the combos, the interactions, the test hands. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new and gave you all some cool ideas to try something different with your Virtual World deck. Maybe a Swordsoul engine in somewhere else, P.U.N.K engine somewhere else. Just a neat way to use the engines that's probably not as common nowadays in today's metagame. So with all that said, thank you again so much for watching. Huge shout out to our new subs to the channel. Thank you so much for joining the community. Stay tuned for next week. We'll have some pretty big announcements along with a giveaway announcement. And thank you all again so much for subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.